Welcome back to our program. We begin tonight with some news tidbits from the country and around the world. Sandra has got the details.
Well, this may sound too good to be true, but believe it or not, Kantanka Automobile says it will soon introduce electric vehicles in the country. How? We have the full story, including Swedish furniture giant IKEA adding 4,000 staff to its global workforce. We have the details next.
Government will complete the merger of Agricultural Development Bank Limited and National Investment Bank Limited before the end of the year. This happens as the central bank's December 31 deadline for lenders to meet a new minimum capital requirement approaches. Minister of Finance Kenneth Oyata told Bloomberg the government will inject 400 million Ghana cedis to bolster the merged entity. He said bringing the two lenders together will save government money because it would have had to pay 700 million Ghana cedis to recapitalize them separately. Mr. Oyata said in August that the merger is due to the need to create a stronger state bank that can support the government's drive to expand industrial activity. In another development, the professional and managerial staff PMSU of the Agricultural Development Bank ADB said it is opposed to the proposed merger of the bank with the National Investment Bank NIB. The PMSU said ADB was strong and had the muscle and human resource capital required to stand alone and to run the bank profitably. James Obenjan, the chairman of the ADB PMSU, revealed this at a joint executive council meeting between the ADB PMSU and local union of the Union of Commerce, Industry and Finance Workers, UNICOF, over the weekend in Accra. The meeting was on the theme ensuring sustainable growth of ADB, the role of the unions.
You're still watching Business Live. I love IKEA. I mean, one of my best furniture shops. I really love. But are we ready for electric cars?
I don't know.
It's a whole lot of conversation, systemic
but it's a good thing
change.
if they're going to make electric cars. Let's encourage them. Great feedback.
But where are the structures and systems in place that where will you be charging the electric car?
Well, I guess they have the plan rolled out for them. So let's see what Kantanka is able to bring up. But let's bring you up to speed on our stories tonight. Head of Tax Policy Unit at the Ministry of Finance, Daniel Noah, has been defending government's decision to introduce the No TIN, No Social Service policy. He said the tax identification number 10 is to help widen the tax net to fund some government policies, including the free SHS program. Speaking to Joy Business at a post-budget tax seminar for stakeholders in Accra, head of the Tax Policy Unit justified the need for every Ghanaian to register for a TIN.
The tax identification number 10 is a unique number provided by the Ghana Revenue Authority after going through a registration process as a tax complaint citizen under the Revenue Administration Act. The move by the Ministry of Finance is to ensure that citizens become tax compliant before they are allowed to benefit from government social intervention programs and policies. It is also aimed at ensuring that all Ghanaians obtain TINs to assist government in monitoring the income earning size of the citizenry. In an interview at the sidelines of a post-budget dissemination seminar on tax policies outlined in the 2019 budget, Head of Tax Policy Unit at the Ministry of Finance, Daniel Noah, urged everyone to get the TIN so they could enjoy social government policies.
The issue of no TIN, no social services, that the social service being provided to you must be paid for. Who is going to pay for it? We are going to pay for it. And as I said, some of us have a little to contribute, so let's contribute a little. Someone has a lot to contribute, the person will contribute a lot. We all don't pay the same taxes. The more income you earn, the more tax you pay, so that it helps everybody. That is the general idea. And as you said, yes, we need to get that message across that. And I'll say it again. That's why if you look at the 6 pillars on which this budget is, there's one which is called the social partnership, because that is important. That partnership is important for all of us to understand our role in the economy when it comes to this.
He explains why non-income earners must also have the TIN.
We have a lot of policies, and the idea has been that we don't want to introduce or increase taxes, because there are quite a number of taxes in the system. The idea is to get people to pay them, get them to understand why they should pay and make sure that they pay. We've put in systems like the tax identification number helps GRA to have an idea of the number of people who exist who should be paying taxes and to follow up and collect the taxes. In terms of the ministry, what it does is that it allows us to know the number of people who are supposed to pay and draw policies to that extent.
The Ministry of Finance has advised parents and guardians who do not have a TIN to register or obtain them from the Ghana Revenue Authority to avoid the inconvenience of not being able to access government social interventions.
Information Minister Kojo Oppong-Nkrumah has re-emphasized government's desire to control excessive budget expenditure. Now, he said this could be achieved through the passage of the Fiscal Deficit Law, which will place a cap on budgeted expenditure. Bismarck Awusa has more.
The bill for the proposed fiscal responsibility law, according to government, will be forwarded to Parliament before end of the year. The Minister for Information, Kojo Oppong-Nkrumah, says the law, if passed, will also come with some sanctions to offenders.
Putting in place some irreversibility measures, like passing a law on the fiscal deficit cap, that no administration can go beyond 5% of GDP. The deficit should never go beyond 5% of GDP, and possibly even add some sanctions to it as well. The lawmaking process is such that it will go to Parliament. Parliament will have an opportunity to debate it and come up with whatever sanctions we have in mind. But we think that it should just not be a cap, but a cap with sanctions, in the offering, so that people know that there's a consequence for breaching it.
The Standard Chartered Bank Budget Forum brought together some management and staff members of the bank, lecturers and students of the University of Ghana. According to the head of corporate affairs, brand and marketing at the Standard Chartered Bank, Esidwa Adai, the budget forum sought to whip up interest in the students.
They're very interested in what happens in the society. They are interested in what the government does. They are interested in their future and how they would help shape the future of the economy in which they will grow. And so we thought, once the budget is read, why don't we hold a forum like this? Why don't we give them an opportunity to engage with government, to help them understand even what the budget is, to help them understand what the targets are, how even 2018 has gone, and then if they have questions, to give them an opportunity to engage with the right people to even ask the questions. And boy, you can see what happened today.
There was a question and answer session which brought some issues and perspectives. Some students later shared their thoughts in an interview.
I think, as he said, that he would relay the information to the necessary authorities to make sure that they check on the supervision and ensure that students receive the necessary skills that they need from this NAPCO program. So I'm hoping that that will be done and students will be able to become better people at the end of the program.
I think it was very educative. I was very thrilled and excited to learn a lot of new things, especially about Ghana's budget. And I think it should be done frequently.
I've learned a lot, especially about what goes into preparing the budget for every year. What they do is they sit back, look at what has been done and how it affected the economy, how the negative, the positive, everything, and telling it. And then they sit on that to prepare the budget.
Standard Chartered Bank hopes to replicate the post-budget forum in other universities. Bismarck.
You're watching Business Live. We are taking a short break. We have an update on our top story right after this break.
Welcome back to Business Life and to our big story tonight. Finance Minister Ken Ofori-Atta says government has no intention of bailing out customers of gold dealership firm Men's Gold. According to him, it's about time people are made to pay for their responsibilities in their actions. The minister said this when he made a presentation as part of the 3rd Capital Market Conference in Accra.
There's one issue that maybe I need to mention, which the senior minister mentioned, which is dealing with Ponzi schemes as we try to clean up the financial services sector. I know the SEC has come down hard and strong and justifiably on Men's Gold, but the issue with a company like Men's Gold is, as I even look at the Ministry of Finance, and I see some people at the Ministry of Finance who have invested there. I look at the Bank of Ghana, and I see some people at the Bank of Ghana who have invested there. And of course, the military, etc. So it becomes an issue of greed as a people and our own behavior when we are so clear, as educated as we might be, that when we went there was no license, and we chose them to do that. I think it is not in the place of government to fund or get your money back for you. It was an obvious trap that you went into. But maybe we as an industry should also push the whole issue of education.
All right, so that was the finance minister speaking to the issue regarding Men's Gold and its customers. So Della is an investment analyst and chief executive officer of Eco Capital Investments. He joins me via phone for more on this development. Thanks so much for joining me, Della.
Yes, hello, Sandra. How are you?
Very well, thank you, sir. Government is clear they are not going to pay Men's Gold customers. Will you say this is harsh or is a step in the right direction?
It is difficult to say because we are talking about emotions here. You know, people's hard and currency or cities got placed somewhere, locked in. When you want to look at it from the area of emotion, you'll say yes, the government should help. But when you want to look at it in practical terms, this is not a deposit-taking institution, so it's not under BOG, it's not under SEC. But when you look at Men's Gold business model, it looks more like an investment transaction, right?
Right.
And usually investment transactions are not insured or guaranteed, right? You know the amount of risk you are taking yourself. And as the saying usually goes, the higher the risk, the higher the return.
Right, Della, so in this case, should we play with emotions or we should be practical?
There's everything going on. You know, we have to be also fair. We have a lot going on as a nation. We have quite a lot of developmental issues going on. These are risks that individuals have analyzed, and they are willing to take these risks. And I believe some have been compensated based on the amount of risk they've been taking.
All right. Well, the finance minister was quite harsh. He used some harsh words. He described them as greedy. It's greed that actually drove them to invest with this company. Do you agree with him?
It's quite difficult to say that. Yeah, the truth is that, look, when you look at the return, it's quite high. So the truth of the matter is that you have to ask yourself, what is it that Men's Gold is doing in order to pay 120 or more percent to you a year? So if it doesn't make sense to you, and if it's too good to be true, then it's obviously not true, right? So you want to be able to look at it. Then what else will motivate you to take such a risk? One, the risk of you not understanding the business model, and you should also understand that as the return is this high, the chances of you also foregoing your principal and your whatever return that you'll be paid, it also can go.
All right, Della, so quite clearly, emotions are at stake now. People's monies, investments are at stake now. What should a Men's Gold customer at this moment be doing? What's the way forward for them?
They're looking at it, Men's Gold, one, for Men's Gold, since it's not quite clear which regulator that regulates this institution. Assuming it's under SEC, you would have written to SEC. Assuming it's under BOG, you would have written to BOG. In this case, since government, unfortunately, we've had a lot of warning from BOG, and people continue to go there. So it's quite difficult to know where to go to. But I think the best bet is to go to the law court.
Right.
Because I know there is an agreement involved. So BOG, Men's Gold has issued some agreements to its clients. So it means that you could go to court for the court to force DOG, to force Men's Gold, to act, to perform. If they indeed have the gold, they should be able to refund the gold. If they don't have the gold, they need to probably sell the gold and probably pay back.
All right, I'm grateful. Right.
Maybe sell.
All right, I'm grateful for your time. Della is an investment analyst and chief executive officer of Eco Capital Investments. Now to other stories. We live such busy lives and always on the lookout for practical solutions for everything, including food consumption. And as we mark Industrialization Week, the Joy Business Van takes you to a local food processing company, Limex, which processes various food items for the local and international market. This is one of the businesses on Invest in Africa's Business Acceleration.
Welcome aboard the Joy Business Van on its way to Bawe here in Accra to meet the CEO of food processing company Limex Foods. John Mante is standing on his balcony in anticipation of our visit. First, we get a tour of his food processing facility. This is where he makes the products his company has become known for: banku flour, fufu flour, yam flour, Hausa cocoa flour, and the palm nut cream. The spare parts dealer first chanced on these processed products while shopping almost a decade ago. He became curious and started asking questions.
I realized that no, this job is a potential job that you can do it whilst you grow old. So there I found interest in it. And I went to a lady called Selassie. So through our conversation, Selassie also directed me to food research. So I went to food research, and then they taught me how to prepare this plantain flour, banku mix, Hausa cocoa. So then we started small with my wife.
Small, he acquired the equipment to do the processing. Today, he and his team are processing yam into flour that can be used to prepare the local delicacy, fufu. Once grinding is done, mixing takes place and we wait to test the mixture. Final grind and then packaging takes place. John operates from his home. He's converted portions of it into a factory, producing hundreds of cartons of his products for local supermarkets and for exports. But John could do better. There's so much demand placed on him, but he lacks the financial resources to meet them. It's not just a problem for him, but many local industries.
Now, if I get the order and I'm doing it, you realize that before I realize, people need plantain food to buy on the market. I have to supply. As I'm talking to you now, ShopRite, Melcom, order is in, but I don't have the money to purchase my raw materials for the plantain or the yam flour.
Today, he's got a visit from not-for-profit organization Invest in Africa, which helps SMEs scale up through access to finance, access to market, and access to skills. Limex Foods signed on recently to the Business Acceleration Program.
In fact, I've got to know Invest in Africa through TechnoServe. And in fact, when I met them, my accounting process was very, very poor. I don't do any recording. I only buy my things and do my things just haphazardly. But when they came to my end, they showed me how to do bookkeeping through EY, and through them, they also prepared my account also for me. And that has helped me a lot. In the former days, even when I'm losing, I may not know. But now I've realized that I know it. And I can also do costing on my product.
For now, John's home has become too small to operate from, and one of his major plans is to set up a bigger factory.
That was the Joy Business Van. Darryl, anytime I watch the Joy Business Van, there's one question on my mind. Why say there are no jobs in Ghana?
I think there's potential, and like you heard John say, it's the support that they need. I mean, people have great ideas for business, but the support is not
financially
there.
Or?
Financially, and I think that, we've seen from the budget that the government is trying to push in some money to help entrepreneurs. Right. Question is it reaching the right people? Are we identifying the real potential and providing the money that they need to start their businesses?
All right, so that's how we wrap up tonight on Business Live. But for more news, do log on to our website, myjoyonline.com/business for our business updates. There you go. The stories are out there. You can read, make a comment and suggestions. Take them.
Thanks for being with us. My name is Darryl Kyle. Thanks for watching.
My name is Sandra Isenamapena.